U.S. domestic air travel to make full recovery by early 2022. Consumers are looking forward to summer travel. Experts are now predicting that the U.S. will reach herd immunity by mid-June to early July, 3 to 6 weeks ahead of earlier forecasts. The overall comeback of travel will depend on how fast nations get their populations vaccinated. Leisure travel in America will push the U.S. domestic airline industry to a COVID recovery by early 2022. A year ago, industry analysts would have thought that a full domestic recovery in this timeframe for the U.S. was almost impossible, but the combination of pent-up demand, economic stimulus, and access to vaccines is making a difference. It is still too early to talk about a full recovery for the overall industry, but the experts expect some of the airlines to start turning cash flow positive in a matter of months, particularly in the U.S. The rapidly increasing availability of vaccines and economic stimulus from the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan Act are two reasons for the increase in domestic leisure travel in the U.S. Both factors also happen to coincide with the timing of spring break across many states, which caused a spike in demand. Consumers are also looking forward to summer travel, and the experts are now predicting that the U.S. will reach herd immunity by mid-June to early July, 3 to 6 weeks ahead of earlier forecasts. In mid-March, U.S. travel demand rose to more than 50% of 2019 levels, which is the highest it has been on a sustained basis since the start of the pandemic. The opposite is true with corporate and international travel, which is still down more than 80% from 2019. These segments of the market will not recover before 2023. The loss of business travel is a real challenge for some full-service airlines, because they depend on high-yielding customers to provide more than half of their profits and a third of revenues in major economies such as the U.S. To compensate for the loss of business and international travelers, full-service carriers are starting to sell more services à la carte, aimed at a broader customer base with different needs and less willingness to pay. The analysis of U.S. Department of Transportation data reveals revenue per available seat mile (RASM) for full-service airlines fell 50% year-over-year in the second quarter of 2020, making it one of the darkest periods for U.S. carriers. Meanwhile, the RASM for low-cost airlines fell 23% in the same 3 months. The third quarter of 2020 brought the performance of the two airline groups closer together, with full-service carriers declining 45% and low-cost carriers down 38%. The overall comeback of travel will depend on how fast nations get their populations vaccinated and standardize their health passport travel protocols and testing regulations, but the demand to travel is here.